Throughout the time period of colonial America, there were three different types of government which colonists lived under the rule of, from the overpowering British monarchy to the unsuccessful Confederacy to a much more successful Constitution. During the British monarchy, which had been around since 1066 and existed as a form of government in colonial America in 1763, the British seized the land of North America. There were many times when the British had full authority over the Native Americans and the colonists. This can be proven from several events that eventually happened after the French and Indian War, where the British and its longtime enemy, France, fought over the land of the Native Americans. The British stationed 10,000 troops in its territories to control the Native Americans and former French subjects. Later, in order to pay the great costs of debts caused by the war, the British government imposed tax on basically any product which colonists used on a daily basis, including tea, sugar, and stamps. The colonists, however, didn't have any control over this heavy taxation, and thus claimed a demand for no taxation without representation. The Committees of Correspondence assembled the First Continental Congress in 1774 and defended the colonists' rights. In 1776, Common Sense, written by Thomas Paine, issued America's independence and led the spread of change towards independence. Through Jefferson's Declaration of Independence and after the transformation from colonies to states, a new government was formed. Towards 1777, the Congress proposed a new type of government in a set of laws called the Articles of Confederation. This gave two different governments the right to share fundamental powers, the state and the national government. Many accepted harmony after this agreement, but more problems were yet to come. Debt still had to be dealt with between the debtors and borrowers in the Revolutionary War. Too much freedom from natural rights of citizens also prevented Congress from the power to tax. Along with these problems, Congress was faced with many other numerous problems that showed its weakness. The states were all independent and were always in dispute with one another. Along with this, each state, regardless of its population, only got one vote. No executive branch existed either in order to interpret and carry out the laws and acts of the Congress. In other words, the Articles of Confederation announced the laws and acts, but had no way of enforcing them. Even though America was successful in getting its independence, the government system that took over was a huge mess. Between the summer and fall of 1786, Shays' Rebellion occurred. Farmers carried out a huge rebellion against the state due to excessive taxation, causing panic throughout the states. The government feared that the rest of the farmers from other states would replicate this rebellion. Delegates from all states gathered in response to the rebellion and decided that it was time to form a new government. The new government that was formed was indeed a federalism that divided the power between the national government and the state governments. National government delegated power, which controlled foreign affairs, provided national defense, regulated trade between the states, and coined money. State government reserved power, where it provided and supervised education. It also established marriage laws and regulated trade between the states. The two then cooperated on matters such as the right to tax, borrowing money, paying debts, and establishing courts. While they protected the rights of the state, they also divided the power of the government into three branches in order to prevent one branch from dominating the others, also known as the checks and balances system. The three branches consisted of a legislative branch, an executive branch, and a judicial branch, and still do to this day. The legislative branch makes the laws, the executive branch carries out the laws, and the judicial branch judges its validity. The separation of power is most effective when applied to the presidential system. If citizens aren't satisfied with the president or other executive official, they can choose to not re-elect him or her. Since the government represents the majority of all people, the public is also part of the system of checks and balances. Overall, the Constitution distributes fair rights to both the governed and the governing side. The effectiveness of this type of limited government is proved through America's current government to this day.